Hey, travel family! Where to next? Margaritaville at Sea Paradise. My husband and I had the opportunity to sail again, second time around, on the Margaritaville at Sea Paradise. I must say we had a great time once again. I'm going to talk about our experience and share with you a couple of tricks and tips that helped us throughout as far as our experience. So starting with embarkation, let's talk about parking. Now I must say last time parking was pretty much a disaster. Not sure what was going on as far as at the port, but they had mandatory valet parking our first go round. So it was a line of cars that were just in line waiting to be parked. And they also had a lot of people still just trying to get back to their cars from the previous trip. So it got a little hectic. It was a whole lot of crowd, and that is actually what I was expecting this time around. But this time around, I was super surprised to see that there was absolutely no line. As soon as we pulled up, we got there about 11 o'clock. That was our check-in time. But as soon as we pulled up, we went ahead and paid for our parking. So yes, please be prepared to pay for parking as soon as you get there. But once we paid for parking, they directed us to where we were going to park, which is right there pretty much in front of the boat. So you were able to definitely see the ship as soon as you got there. Once we got out of our vehicles, we went ahead, got all of our luggage together, and we made our way to the check-in. The check-in process was definitely a easy breeze, starting with our luggage drop-off. So as soon as we got to the check-in spot, they have a place where you bring your luggage to. They'll go ahead and check it in. Now, I must say, if this is your first time cruising, go ahead and get you some luggage tags. And what I mean by luggage tags are going to be those plastic tags where you can actually insert as far as your luggage printout that you have to do prior before going on the boat. So that way saves you a whole lot of headache. Print that tag out, put it in your luggage packet, put it on that suitcase, and go ahead and get the show going. So once they took as far as our luggage, they guaranteed us that our bags would be at our door once the rooms were ready and we were able to get on our boat. So after dropping off the luggage, you just make a quick dash over right next door. And when I say right next door, it's just literally the door down. But that's where you check in. As soon as you walk in, anything that you do have left. Now, this is the Margaritaville at sea. This is a short trip. So if you can, try to have all of your items inside of your check-in bag. If you do need things, I had my purse in which I had like my hand sanitizer and some wipes and things like that I took with me as I got on the boat. But for the most part, you don't want to be going around as far as trying to carry your luggage, waiting for your rooms to be ready for you to drop your things off at, because you are going to have a couple of hours possibly of time from the of you getting on the boat to actually being able to access your room. So for me, I like to have a good time. The less the better for me to be able to enjoy my time as I wait for our rooms to become available. But as soon as you walk in, as far as the check-in, you go through security immediately. So they're going to go ahead and screen, check your bag. So that's kind of why I said the less is better, because it just makes going through that process a whole lot easier. And so once you go through as far as your security check-in, you then make your way upstairs to where you actually are going to do all of your document checks and also connect the credit card that is going to be connected to your Sea Pass. So during that time, just make sure you do have all of your documents ready. One thing I do want to remind you, please do not have your documents in your check-in bags. You definitely want to make sure you have those on you. So if you do have your purse or you bring an extra bag, like a book bag, just definitely that is where you want to make sure you have as far as your passport, or if you're using as far as your birth certificate with you. Please note that is super important. They will not let you on the boat without those items. So definitely make sure you have them. If you're like me, anytime before we leave for a cruise, I am always triple checking to make sure I have all of our passports, our IDs, and all of that, those great things. So once we got to the line where they do the document check, even that line was not long. It was definitely a easy process of just being able to go directly to one of the check-in agents to be able to check all of your information, to connect your credit card. And right there, after they complete all of your document checks, they go ahead and give you your key. So you have your key room right there with you getting on the boat. Afterwards, you do have the ability to go ahead and set up any excursions that you want to participate in. They'll go ahead, go over all those items with you prior to you actually getting on the boat. Also, any dining experience reservations that you want to set. So on the Margaritaville, they have, your steakhouse. You also have a sushi place as well. So all of those things you can go ahead and set up as far as your reservations prior. So before getting on the boat, you do have that ability to go ahead and get all of those things set up. Now for me and my family, we actually set up an excursion prior to getting on the boat. And we actually made sure that our names were on the list. So when we got there, we told them, hey, we went ahead and signed up for an excursion prior to, even when we were just doing our purchase of the tickets. And so they just double checked to make sure our names were on the list and just kind of asked if we wanted to do any other excursions or anything else. But we were pretty set in doing the excursion that we chose, which was the Margaritaville at Sea Resort in Nassau, Bahamas, that I'll talk about a little bit more later in this video. So after you get as far as your sail pass, you are able to go ahead and get on the boat, check in to get on the boat. There was no wait time in between. I do remember as far as the first time sailing on the Margaritaville at Sea Paradise, we end up signing up for the Faster Chill Pass. With the Faster Chill Pass, it kind of gave you like a VIP line to drop your luggage off and a VIP line to, do your document check. But then after that, we actually had a separate waiting area where they served us food and drinks. And we had a nice little wait before we were able to actually get on the boat. But this time around, as soon as we checked in, hey, they were like, go ahead, get your car, get right on the boat. And that is what we did. So we went ahead, got on the boat. Once on the boat, first thing you notice over to the left-hand side is going to be desk services. So if there's anything that you are already wanting to maybe head over to guest services for, to already begin to ask questions, they are right there to direct you on. But you can't help but see as far as that big flip-flop. Once you get on the boat, that is almost like your verification stamp that your vacation has started. So definitely love the vibes of being able to see all of the great things to give you that feel that you're truly on vacation. One of the great things about Margaritaville at Sea Paradise is you can go ahead and knock out your muster drill. So as soon as we got on, that was the first thing on our mind was, hey, let's go find our muster drill so we can get our names checked off the list, okay? We do not want to be the reason why we are unable to sail off because that is one of the things Margaritaville will not do is start sailing away and everyone has not completed their muster drill. The muster drill is very easy once you do find your station. They'll go ahead, check you in, and they'll go over the process of how to put on, your life jacket, where to go if there is an emergency on the boat. So we definitely were able to get done with that. Probably it was less than 5 minutes, I would say. But we were able to go ahead and knock that out so then we could enjoy our time. So first thing after doing our muster drill, we went to go find food. And that is where we went to as far as the buffet. On the Margaritaville at Sea, that was definitely an option that was open. One of the things that I enjoyed is that they have multiple things open. So you were able to also get a burger at their burger spot that is on the boat as well. So definitely that was a great experience of being able to go ahead and get the party started. Also, another thing to note on the buffet, because that is where our family decided to go ahead and eat. But one thing that changed as far as for this second go around when it comes to the buffet setup, they have now added the pizza selection to be part of the buffet. On our first Margaritaville sailing, they actually had the pizza option as a purchase within their Italian restaurant. Now, I must say, our first experience with purchasing the pizza on our first sail away was actually really good. Like, I remember, when we ate the pizza, we were like, this is probably the best pizza we have ever had on a cruise. However, we tried the pizza on the buffet because I was super excited. I was like, hey, I get to get that same pizza without having to pay. Like, oh, this is going to be good. Well, it was a slight disappointment. The pizza was definitely not the same. The crust, I must say, was really, really thick. The flavor of the pizza wasn't good. So a little disappointed, but that's okay because I just ended up finding other options to eat. One of the great things too on the buffet is just the various food options that they do provide. If you are a vegetarian, please have no worries. They are going to have actually a section for you. Also, if you have gluten-free requirements, they do have things for you as well. So keep that in mind. It's definitely a place where you can find what you would like to eat. They even have other options such as hot dogs, especially if you bring in kids. A lot of just regular options for you as well. One of the things I enjoyed too is kind of like their Mexican setup. Now, we're not talking like a Mexican setup like the Carnival cruise line. They actually just part of their buffet where you can kind of set your tacos, hard shells, soft shells, make nachos, those type of things. So that was definitely fun when it came to the options on the buffet. Another big thing on their buffet was the sandwich station. It was almost that station never had a pause moment. So people were definitely always in line getting a sandwich where you were able to get a sandwich made cold or hot and be able to select all of your options. Another good thing too was their burger spot. Now, I tell you, a lot of people do a whole lot of comparison to like Guy's Burger when they think of the Carnival Cruise Line. And Guy's Burger, it is good. It is really, really good. But let me tell you, the Margaritaville burgers are perfect and they come at a perfect time. The line is always going at that spot. But it's definitely worth it. Once you get your burger, you have so many options as far as toppings, which is always my favorite part because I am a saucy type of person. And so the more options I have as far as with sauce and toppings, sign me up, okay? And if you are going to hop on the Margaritaville at Sea, please, when you go to the burger spot, ask them about that special sauce. All right. That special sauce they have behind the counter, they'll put that special sauce on for you. And it definitely made a difference as far as with my burger. So please do that for sure. But other than that, they also, like I mentioned, as far as their specialty restaurants, now these are the restaurants that you do have to pay extra for. So they do have, for instance, your steakhouse. They also have a sushi spot, which used to be as far as the Italian spot, like I was stating. But now it is a sushi spot. So you are able to kind of get that variance as well. So that was definitely something new that we were able to see as far as some of the changes with the Margaritaville on our second selling. One of the things that I really enjoyed where the burger spot location is located, it's actually at the back of the boat. And the way they have it set, I mean, the feel of it all, it is almost like true vacation style. The seating arrangements, they even had a stage. And so they would actually have performances out there, someone with a guitar or someone who would come out and sing. And it really gave you the Jimmy Buffett vibe, okay, if I was to say. Part of it, when it comes to the seating, you can actually kind of sit indoors, but it was an open air location. So you even had the chance to even sit outside and still hear as far as the music, and definitely enjoy the vibe. So I love as far as the burger location. Also too, you also have a bar right there. And so that way, hey, after you grab your burger, go ahead and grab your drink, find you a good spot and groove to the music that's playing at the time. So definitely a great experience if you go grab a burger. With the sushi, so the sushi sushi spot is a new setup. Like I mentioned, they took out as far as the Italian spot that was there from our first sale. But even the change that was made to accommodate as far as now this sushi restaurant, it had a great vibe. It was very nice, very well put together. Really a great experience to enjoy and a great place where you also kind of have that sushi bar, set up as well. So if you do like kind of experiencing that, eating your sushi like you had a sushi bar, you'll definitely get that on the Margaritaville at Sea. So after we ate, we got our bellies filled, definitely, because you got to think about it too. A lot of times you do a whole lot of traveling to get to the destination, to get on the boat. That was the case for us. We had about a good 4-hour travel from where we were coming from to be able to get to the Margaritaville at Sea. So once we got on board, we was definitely ready to eat, start relaxing and kind of getting things going. And so after we ate, after that, it was time to get the party started. So they started as far as with the sail-away party. I must say, had a great time at the sail-away party. The energy was there. The people was definitely there. One thing I would suggest, and this is probably just something across the board of all the different cruise sailings that I have had, I would actually suggest, if possible, they actually look into having 2 different sail-away parties. One for the family vibe and then the other for the 18 and up. I feel like they do try to entertain both in the same setting, which can kind of, I'm sure it'd be a little hard. Why not go ahead and look into having, separate sail-away parties, kind of similar to how they have separate, comedy shows where you have your family comedy show and then you have your 18 and up comedy show. That way, some of the games that, that are played during the sail-away party that may be a little risky. If you're doing it in an 18 and up type of environment, you don't have to kind of worry about as far as, oh my goodness, should my kids, be seeing this type of entertainment that is going on. So, you got to think about too, you have a lot of adults that are drinking and, amping up the party, and they can kind of take things a little extreme. So, to be on the safe side, it would be great to see as far as some of the cruise lines go ahead and have 2 different sail-away parties. But the vibe on the Margaritaville at Sea Paradise was definitely a vibe. I had a great time. They had me moving and grooving, okay? Normally I'll kind of, sometimes just sit back and just enjoy, but no, they had me on my feet. I was dancing, and definitely enjoying the time. The entertainment, the entertainers that were part of the crew were definitely great and getting the vibe going, getting the party started. If you are looking to go on this boat and you probably have not danced in a while, go ahead and look up, a couple of these line dances and learn them so you can be ready. Don't be like me and get out there and you just kind of, going all the opposite ways, wrong ways. But no matter what, either way, I had a good time. So definitely the party was definitely going. One of the things too that I noticed, and I don't know, if I was to compare it as far as to another boat, Margaritaville at Sea Paradise have some great speakers. And just the sound when they're playing their music, it was just definitely made you feel it all in your soul, I must say. So here's a note to take. Because I know we are all different types of, sailors going on cruise. If you're getting on the Margaritaville, prepare for great music, loud music. If that is not your vibe and you're more of a, quiet person or, need to be in a quiet atmosphere, kind of take that into consideration. You do now, I must say, while the sail-away party is going on, all other parts of the ship is open. So, if you're not that, party type, you can definitely find somewhere else to just kind of chill and vibe to. One thing I can say, the Margaritaville at Sea Paradise had a lot of just hidden gems, little quiet spots that you could find. So even if you're not a super hype type of energetic, partier when it comes to as far as, when you're on the boat, you'll definitely be able to find your spot that will fit your needs. So definitely keep that in mind. But if you are energetic, fun, and you are on that boat to have a good time and to party and dance, you better be at that sail-away party because you are going to do all of the above. All right, so let's talk about the ship itself. One thing about Margaritaville at Sea Paradise, it is a beautiful ship. It is not your super, super large ship, these gigantic ships. This is a, bit smaller side of a ship, but the ship is beautiful. From the moment you see it from the outside, it has, as far as the decorations, already giving you that true margarita vacation type of feel. Same thing you're going to feel as far as once you're on the boat. The layout, the planning of how the ship was decorated, it really puts you in a tropical feel. So that is definitely what you are going to get on the Margaritaville at Sea. Even in the rooms, when you're in the room, how they have it decorated, the wallpaper consisting of like the map of the Caribbean Sea, it really puts you in a tropical vacation vibe. So that is one of the beauties and the things that I do like. Before even going on the Margaritaville at Sea cruises, I enjoy just going and staying at the Margaritaville hotels. That same feel that you get being in their hotels where, the theme is all tropical. You always going to have that flip-flop display somewhere. That is that same feel you're going to feel on the Margaritaville at Sea Paradise. So it was great to be able to see and really keep you in the mood that you are truly on vacation. Another thing to point out is the cleanliness. It was definitely clean. The workers were definitely making sure that everything stayed clean, all the way from all of the restaurant areas to the bathrooms. The attendants were definitely around. There was even a situation where I had used the restroom. There was no paper towels. And as soon as I walked out, there was an attendant there, and I just was able to mention, hey, the ladies' restroom is missing some paper towels. And they were like, we're right on it. So a lot of attention to detail with them being able to keep things clean. So definitely a plus for me when being on a cruise. We also, even just to kind of give a little snippet of that, our first room that we were placed in, when we went into the restroom, you could tell they had to resurface as far as the shower, and it wasn't fully complete. And so we were able to go to guest services, and we were, kind of told them about as far as the shower. They sent someone up there to take a look at it, and they were like, yeah, we're going to place you in another room. And so just for them to be able to set us up in another room just shows that they are truly there to make sure that you have the best experience possible. And our second room, it was great. It was clean. One thing you'll notice about the Margaritaville at Sea Paradise is that their rooms are all mainly inside cabins with a window. So that is probably what mostly as far as you'll be staying in. They do have a couple of options that include the balcony. However, those are considered suites and they're a little bit more expensive. So if that is the route you want to take, just be prepared to pay that extra price. However, with the inside suites with the window, the way it's all decorated really still just give you a great feel that you're on vacation. You can still see as far as where you're going, looking outside of your window. But definitely just a great feel overall, all the way to all of their different lounges that they had set up was definitely beautiful in the decoration setting. So even where we went to do our karaoke, like how the room was designed and set up, the lighting, it definitely gave you a great feel just being on the boat and being able to enjoy as far as your vacation. All right, so let's talk about activities. So definitely with the Margaritaville at Sea, they give you an itinerary every day of everything that is going to be going on board. You'll have a full listing of your start times for all of the activities that they do have. Just to name a few, for instance, if you like to play bingo, they got you covered. A lot of opportunities to play bingo, to do trivia. All of those are all there for sure. One of the things that my husband and I enjoyed, and that this was kind of my first time too, even, saw these options as far as on other cruises that we were a part of. But this go around, we took a chance and we went to karaoke. It was fun seeing everyone else, sing. You had some great singers who really got up there and put on a show. And then you have people, like me, when I decided to participate, that I was going to go out there and I'm going to sing just like I sing when I'm singing to myself in the car. So that is what I did. It was definitely great time of laughter. And so that was one of the greatest points as far as for me. Another thing too, they do have entertainment shows that are set up. We did as far as their comedy show. They do have it split where you have a family comedy show and then a comedy show for the 18 and up. Now note the 18 and up is just at a later time. So that way they can just make sure it's not going to be no young ears listening to as far as that comedy piece. But we did the family comedy show, and I must say, It was pretty good. Got a couple of laughs out of me. So, so definitely fun just to be able to hang out and be able to laugh with other cruisers during that time. They also had a country show. So, hey, if you like to dance, you know some country songs, do a little bit of research and get your, country dance moves, in line. They definitely had, as far as their entertainers out there that were doing all of the country line dances. They had the music going. It was pretty packed too. So definitely a fun experience if that is your thing. So just kind of know that there's a lot of options out there for you when it comes to entertainment. Another big piece as far as their entertainment shows was their Caribbean Heat. That show consisted of a lot of singing, a lot of dancing, that Broadway type of feel. So that was definitely fun. If that is something you are going to attend, make sure you get there early. If the show says it starts at 7 o'clock, you might want to at least try to get there 30 minutes early, just to make sure you can get a seat. One thing I did notice as far as for that show, all the seats were taken and it was standing room only. So, you had people just kind of left standing, so they'll be able to, still be able to see the show. So definitely keep that in mind. If you go into a show like that, if you're doing the Caribbean Heat, get there a couple of minutes early just to make sure you can get a seat in the theater. However, all through the night, they are going to keep the entertainment going. Even with the karaoke went all the way past midnight. So if you like to hang out late and, you're on vacation, there's no set bedtime for you, you're going to be able to find something to do as far as on the Margaritaville at Sea Paradise. Also, they have a club as well. So, after, a certain time, they get the club going. I didn't go to the club this time around because I was participating in other things. I did go on my first time sailing Margaritaville at Sea Paradise. Me and my husband, we enjoyed our time when we did go to the club. So if that is definitely something that you like to do, hear some great music from the DJ, to be able to dance, definitely a good time and something that you should check out. So while pulling into Nassau, one thing you may want to do is brace yourself. Okay. A lot of times they are getting to Nassau in the early mornings. And one thing I want to note for everyone, and it could just be because of the age of the ship. Please note that, Margaritaville at Sea Paradise is an older ship that they took in and they made all the changes to, upgraded it. And so it still has, I'm sure, a lot of that old ship features still connected to it. So one of the things that you want to brace yourself for is the noise that you are going to hear when that ship is trying to park in Nassau's port. About 6 o'clock in the morning, we were awakened as far as with loud noises and vibration. And apparently it seems like it was all part of the process of the ship having to, come in backwards and back up into the port. And so that whole process, since it is a slow process, you're going to hear those sounds and vibrations for about a good hour. So be prepared. I felt like it was a good way. I guess that was their wake up call to tell you that, hey, go ahead and get up and start getting ready to get off the boat because we have arrived in Nassau. But it was 6 o'clock in the morning. So that is just something to take note of, especially, if you are a sleeper that likes to sleep at least until about 8 o'clock, prepare yourself when it's time to sail into Nassau that you are going to be awakened as far as by the vibration and the sound. Now, I'm not for sure if it was just because as far as where we were located, as far as our room on the boat. So if you ever been on the Margaritaville at Sea Paradise and you never experienced that, consider yourself lucky. But if you were like us and where we were located as far as on the ship, just prepare yourself, brace yourself for when you do arrive in Nassau. The boat does have to, kind of back into as far as this port, and that just caused that boat to kind of go through a lot of sound emotions and vibrations, and getting that process complete. Once we got to Nassau, Bahamas, so this is definitely the time where if you got excursions already set, you're going to have the information of where you would need to go to meet on the boat prior to getting off. And so you'll get actually all of that information the night before. Depending on the excursion that you did book, they'll give you as far as like tickets and also the information of where exactly on the boat you would need to meet to do your check-in, to participate in the excursion that you selected. Now let's talk about the process of us actually disembarking off the boat. After you have signed up for the excursion and you are actually checked in, it was a little chaotic, I must say, of actually getting off the boat. We were given directions to get on the elevator. We were directed to take the elevator down to join all of the other guests that were participating in the same excursion. And what ended up happening once we got down there, it was filled with so many people, lines going all the way up the stairs. We're trying to get off the elevator and just kind of try to make our way into the line. But it was very chaotic. But however, once we did get off, we then had to all just kind of get in a line. And since it was a lot of people doing the same excursion with us, it was a pretty long line. Once they got everyone off the boat that were all part of the same excursion, we then all walked in a line through Nassau. So the main port of Nassau, we're all just kind of still walking in line. Mind you, it was a lot of us. So imagine this super long line of people just trying to all stay together as we navigated through Nassau, Bahamas to get to the bus location. So once they got us to as far as the bus location, they counted us all out for us to be able to catch the bus over to the Margaritaville at Sea Resort. And so once that kind of cleared out, once we got on the bus, things did definitely calm down. But once we did get to the resort, it was another line. So definitely unexpected as far as with a lot of wait time, a lot of standing in line. And after standing in line for a while, we finally realized that as we got closer to the top, to the Margaritaville at Sea check-in, you actually had to do and complete a check-in that consisted of completing, forms for liability. One thing I can say, and I do recommend, this is definitely for Margaritaville at Sea. In today's time, it is 2025. Definitely take use of technology. One of the things that I noticed is that, we all had to sign actual documents. And so they were actually passing a notepad around with the liability waiver document that had to be signed by everyone. I felt like if you all just take advantage of the use of technology, maybe this could just been something that could have been completed as far as, through the purchase of the excursion to go ahead and sign as far as that waiver, to just make the process a whole lot easier. Or maybe even the night before, have a set way where you're picking up the ticket for your excursion and go ahead in signing the waivers, in advance. I can understand if wet signatures are needed for certain, forms, and that could have been the case. But make it a whole lot easier so it's not that day of and having to wait in that long line for everyone to complete as far as their liability waiver. Just a tool tip for Margaritaville at Sea. But we finally made our way through that long line and we're able to walk into as far as the Margaritaville at Sea, the Margaritaville Resort, which was beautiful, by the way. First walking in, you immediately see as far as, all of the chairs laid out for you to select from, of where you're going to be sitting. You also saw as far as the lazy river, you automatically saw the slides. So immediately, once walking in, you definitely felt like you were at a nice, relaxing, water park. I knew it was going to be a whole lot of fun. In the resort, they also have places where you can purchase food, definitely purchase your drinks. One thing that you do want to note is that even though this is Margaritaville at Sea Resort, you are not able to use your cruise card as a way to pay for anything that you do purchase at the resort. So please be sure that if you do this excursion, bring your ID and your credit card with you. You could also opt, we did not at the time, but the excursion did allow for you to opt food and drinks to be included with as far as your excursion ticket. For my husband and I, we chose not to include food and drinks and figured we'll just purchase something, as needed, which was actually great because we actually end up, instead of ordering from the Margaritaville at Sea resort, while we picked a spot on the beach to sit at, they actually have a couple of venues where they have servers that come out on the beach and provide you with the menu of the restaurant. And so they were actually local restaurants that had, so if you're looking for, the true Caribbean food, that was your time to definitely get it. The menu we were looking at, they had oxtails, they had fried snapper. My husband was able to, catch him a plate of some fried snapper. He's always definitely looking for any Caribbean spot that has the best red snapper. So he was super excited to see that option on the menu. But the food was really, really good. So if that is something that you may want to consider, definitely having some true local food instead of as far as the Margaritaville Resort food, those options are available for you. However, at the resort, we had a ball. You were provided as far as a free towel that came along just with the excursion. You were able to enjoy all of the things that were inside of the water park. So that was definitely fun. And I felt like I was getting the best of both worlds. I had the ability to, go in the lazy river. I did not do any slides, but but definitely enjoyed as far as all of the fun and entertainment that came along with being at the water park. And then I also enjoyed going to the beach side. And going into the beach water. And I enjoyed just even seeing all the different fish that came around while I was in the water. The weather was beautiful. The water was great. You could see through it. So for me, if I had a choice, if we ever go back on the Margaritaville at Sea Paradise, I would be doing the Margaritaville Resort again. The day that nobody ever wants to prepare for or ever want to think about having to go through, but we have to, is the final disembarkation day. Now, when it comes to as far as getting off the boat, we did get as far as the information the day before, letting you know that you do have an option, which is very similar to all cruise lines, where you can actually sit your bags out the night before. So the same way when you checked in your luggage, They delivered your luggage to your door when your room was ready. It's kind of the backwards way now. Now that it's time to get off the boat, where you can, as far as set your bag, set your luggages outside of your door. They will come by and collect them. They usually give you until, like a certain time. I think it was like maybe 10 o'clock at night is your cutoff time to just make sure your luggage was outside the door. They'll go ahead and collect your luggage. So then that way, the next day, when you do get off the boat, once off the boat, they'll direct you to where you'll be able to pick up your luggage. When it comes to us, what we did decide to do, because we usually just want an easy way, just to go ahead, carry our luggage. Since this was a short trip, we didn't have a whole lot of luggage to try to carry. So we just opted to go ahead and just carry our luggage ourselves off. And so when it was time, I must say it was a little chaotic though, with trying to know as far as your time of when you could actually get off the boat. Normally, if you are carrying your own luggage off the boat, a lot of times it's kind of free form for you to just go ahead and make your way to be able to get off the boat. However, this was a slight difference. You could hear them announce, as far as if you had the fast pass, you were able to go ahead and get off the boat. So when we were getting off the boat, we found ourselves waiting. We were actually waiting in the staircase with so many other people that had their luggage. And we weren't moving. Then it got to the point where they actually directed some of us to a different section of the boat, saying that, hey, this will be an easier way off the boat. And so it was a little confusing because I wish I would have known up front that, hey, there were multiple spots for you to go to get off the boat. I'm pretty sure knowing that up front probably would have eased a lot of the crowd control. However, once I did end up going into as far as that other line, we did have a little faster way of getting off, still a long line, not always the best thing to do too, because it's the end of your vacations. Temper's probably already just kind of, up and everything, but made my way as far as off the boat. Once off the boat, you do go down through a additional process. It's where you go to complete as far as any custom checks. That is definitely just all part of the process. You also are given options to go into 2 different lines. So if you have your passport, you are able to go through the line for sailors with their passports. And then if you have as far as your birth certificate, then there's another line for them to just be able to view your birth certificate to confirm you are who you are getting off the boat. If you do have your passport, it's definitely an easier process. That line is pretty fast. You actually don't even have to pull out your passport for getting off because they have the face recognition system that you do go through just to make it a whole lot easier. So once you do go through the face recognition, they're pretty much like, hey, bye. See y'all next time. From there, if you happen to go back to your car, it's just an easy walk to go back to your car. Or they also have as far as, shuttles in a place where if you need to call an Uber. So all of that is set at the port as well. Also note, if you did not get off the boat with your luggage already in tote, just kind of going through that whole checkout process, you'll be able to see exactly where your luggage, to pick up your luggage. One of the things that I like to do, if you have a basic black luggage, try to find something to tie on it. I know this is probably something that you may have heard through travel, even going through airports and stuff. Have a way to easily locate your luggage. My luggage is pretty standoffish. It's just pretty bright, very colorful, so I can see it from afar. It just makes it a whole lot easier for you to kind of scan the luggage area to be able to locate your luggage, grab it, and go. All right. Well, these are all the things that I experienced on my second selling of Margaritaville at Sea Paradise. Definitely a trip worth taking for sure. It's a nice, quick trip. It's not expensive if you compare it to as far as some of your other cruise lines. So if you want a real quick getaway, a nice time, want to feel like you're on vacation, I highly recommend Margaritaville at Sea Paradise. Be sure to check out our video that you will see that we captured as far as just more in detail of our experience of our trip. So if you like what you see, please be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that alert button. We have more cruises coming for you, so stay tuned for all of our future travels. Thank you for watching.